Okay, so I actually binge watched the newest season, part one of Stranger Things 4 over the weekend. But other pressing things had to be discussed first. So we're doing this now, and this is just me voicing some complaints. Now, look, I was probably the only person with any credibility, if you say I have credibility, on YouTube with negative things to say regarding season 1 of Stranger Things. I thought it was a ripoff of Stephen King. I thought it was a ripoff of Steven Spielberg. But I actually praised season 2 more than 1, even though no one else did so. And the reason being that though they were stealing from everything they could find in the 80s, as they drifted away from that source material they were ripping off, they found that they had to come up with some original story. And so 2 and 3 struck me as more original. We've now kind of come full circle, and our show about nostalgia is now about your nostalgia for season 1. So the boomers watch Stranger Things because it reminds them of the 80s. The Zoomers watch Stranger Things because the cool kids of today are the cast of Stranger Things. All the little girls want to be 11. They want to date Finn Wolfhard for God knows why. Because he has money and he's on a show they watch. But we are now going, hey, remember how 11 had short hair? Well, we got you. She's got short hair again. We're going to put her back in the facility. We're going to have her dad, Papa, he's not going to be dead. Even though I'm pretty sure we saw him die. Speaking of saw him die, we came up with a cheap-ass cop-out for Hopper. So we've got our story kind of divided up into 3 parts. Kids in Hawkins, kids in California, people from Hawkins going to Nome and then going to Russia to try to rescue Hopper because people got lazy and didn't look for a body. But the Russians found his body and they took him, put him in a van, gagged him, and shipped him over to Russia, like Kamchatka. I have no idea how they were able to pull this off. They made it seem as easy as Batman returning to Gotham City in The Dark Knight Rises, which is something we probably should have saw get done. So Joyce Murray, the most obnoxious character going until Argyle shows up, more on that in a sec, head over to Russia to try to rescue Hopper, and that's going to be a full season thing right there. In fact, I'm hoping that the conclusion we've seen after 7 episodes of this means that they're going to reunite with the kids and they're going to deal with part 2. On the plus side, part 1 of season 4, it's like a season long. It's 7 episodes. So are we going to get 7 more episodes for part 2 in July? Is that how this is going to go? I don't know, to tell you the truth. But at least we're getting some of this out of the way. I thought that it would have made more sense had the Russians somehow teleported or grabbed him, Hopper from the upside down and he came to the right side up in Russia. I actually think that would have been more believable than what we've had to do to rescue Hopper here. And do you care about the character enough? I guess at this point you do. Because for most of the first episode, I'm watching going, you know, if it wasn't for you caring about the characters, this looks like 95% filler. Does this go anywhere? Why we spend so much time with this cheerleader? Significance of clocks and spiders. Okay. Am I the first or just the only one to notice that the captain of the basketball team is a dead ringer for Brad Pitt, while his counterpart Eddie has the voice, mannerisms, and appearance of Robert Downey Jr.? So now we're doing a Nightmare on Elm Street. Is that the chief thing we're ripping off here? And in part it is. We have a guy, let's see, we thought his name was similar to Freddy Krueger. In fact, that guy's played by Robert Englund, and I believe Robert Englund voices Vecna, the creature that is sort of the primary big bad, at least as it's being built up here. Sort of a general of the Mind Flayer. Now, is the Mind Flayer actually defeated? Like, I don't know, but we've done some retconning here in trying to make sense of all this story. We have said, 11, you don't remember stuff, so you're going to have to go through some therapy to try to remember some shit. You know, because you're too dangerous, you're hitting girls with skate in the face. That looked pretty damn brutal. And we're going to go whisk you away. Oh, here's Papa. He's still alive. He has a scar you gave to him. That's all he's accrued as far as that damage goes. But we're going to give you back your powers. So we took away your powers, at the end of season 3 just to give them back is what we've done. And we had to come up with a long drawn out way to do this. Hey, remember this? Well, here we go. We got the Hawkins lab massacre, which was not exactly what you thought it was. In fact, I actually had to watch the first episode of season 1 after viewing part 1 of season 4 to try to make sense and see if some of this lined up, and it kind of does. You thought that maybe 11 killed a bunch of people and escaped the lab, or the Demogorgon did it. Maybe some of that coincides. And you know something? I got some hard truths for you guys. That whole, we opening title card here, it's just scene so intense. We shot it a year ago, but it's going to possibly be insensitive because of this Uvalde attack at this school. Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that because there's kids, but the telepathy, it's not quite the same as bullets, and this is our chance to get some extra publicity for our show. Yeah, because the news will talk about us having this trigger warning at the beginning of our show. That's what this is about. It's a virtue signaling event. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing this become the norm. Hey, on the next Goldbergs, they talk about Chinese restaurant, and did you know maybe some Chinese people might have died in September 11, 2001? Okay. We actually see where the origin comes from entering the Upside Down. 11 sent away this guy who was kind of using her. He was sort of an assistant guard in the lab, and he was manipulating 11 and took out everybody. But she's having these conversations with him, not like some kind of interacting time travel. This is memories. In 1979, 11 can speak English fluently. She's a tiny little girl. She's speaking English. Oh, but in 1983, when she actually gets the stones to escape the lab, probably because the Demogorgon finally came through, so we had about 4 years of no real issue with the Upside Down coming into our world. And she escapes, doesn't know a lick of English. Has to do that, oh, I'm such a powerful girl, I can scream, and then that uses my powers, but I'm so smart, like I can't communicate with simpletons and their English. That whole tired bit, which Netflix has built a whole empire on, The Witcher's even doing that shit too. Pissing me off. We've gone and we've made some retconning that isn't entirely awful until you realize that 11 suddenly can't speak English in 1983. Back to the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. A guy kind of has some claw-like hands. He attacks in your dreams, but unlike Freddy Krueger, he makes you dream so he can attack you. Except he also has access to tentacles in the world that come through the gates. Which, maybe gate's not the right term for these apparatus in which people are entering the Upside Down and not. Point I'm getting at is, if you seem to rip something off in today's society, but you get people involved in the original, like it's some kind of spiritual successor, it's like, oh my god, the casting is perfect, Robert Englund, whoa! Okay, so if they didn't get him, would people be able to identify it was ripping off, or would they just be like, wow, it makes me remember things? God, I don't see why the victims have to experience non-memories of themselves, okay? I get that the scrawny kid caused a car accident or was involved in a car accident and somebody died. Why is he seeing the visions of the clocks and the spiders? Unrelated to him. How did anybody, Nancy and widely useless Robin, who is there to give quips, come up with some idea that, well, music was playing, he said, so if you listen to your favorite song, Sadie Sink, that'll save you from getting kicked out of the show. And a little something about that song by Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill. It is such a foregone conclusion that this would now chart thanks to inclusion on the one show on Netflix 200 million people watch. I'm willing to bet that the label gave Netflix money to use their song. During the montage in which this happened, I'm kind of like, okay, so she's bound, tied up, right? And then she just has the willpower to slap Vecna and then free her. So how did this come undone? How is this happening What the hell? And also, things get too noisy at times. Bring out the collar. Ka-ching. Then you open it. Ka-ching. It's like, okay, so showing metal objects on this show make noise. Someone has a gun, it makes a cocking sound, and then they cock it.
Here. Keys. Map.
What the hell, guys? You gonna have noisy knives also? And look, this sounds like I'm being really harsh, but I actually think that I'm looking forward to part 2. Yeah, the boys in California are useless as all hell. We even have a throwaway teenage sex comedy type character in Argyle. I want to see all the new characters die horrifically. Some of them have so far. Argyle, I think it's your turn. But you know what? I'm not really sure where this is going. Other than, obviously Eleven's gonna realize she has the power of womanhood, and that will defeat Vecna / number 1, and the boys will watch. Will Byers will finally come out of the closet. We've teased it a bit. Kids were calling him names in season 1. We didn't know what names exactly. Probably the F word that you're not allowed to say that rhymes with fly larva. He then comes around saying in, was it season 2, hey, I just want to play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's Mike's like, it's not my fault you don't like girls, right? Now he's doing a painting with Boys Don't Cry poster in the background. He does a project on Alan Turing. He's carrying around that painting. He's going to give it to Mike, and then he chickens out at the last minute. What could the painting be? Could it be him and Mike holding hands or making out or some shit? Is the whole plan here to get the internet to ship Mike and Will? Is that the plan? I don't... Christ. I don't quite understand what you guys are doing here. And the way he longingly talks to Mike. Oh, you know, sometimes we just don't have the courage to tell people how we really feel. May as well be stroking his hair while he does it. So, things to expect. 11 defeats Vecna. Yes, that's gonna happen. None of the kids die. Hopefully Argyle dies. It kind of looks like you're supposed to ship Nancy and Steve, but I think we actually like Steve more than we like Nancy. Hell, it is kind of welcoming that Erica actually got kicked to the sideline a little bit. Why couldn't we do the same with Robin? Why is she involved? I guess we're going to get a lot of, like, an overdose of Erica going forward. And hell, maybe even Will Byers will come out to her so that she can make fun of him, as would actually happen in 1986. This is, if this goes down, don't worry, pat him on the back. We're still pals. You're my best friend, friends for life. We went to the great lengths to rescue you. Will, you should be the expert on the Upside Down, and yet you don't get to tell anybody how the rules work. You're just totally disassociated, you know, longing for Mike.
Hey, it's Vaughn's mom again, so I just wanted to remind you that instead of buying Vaughn's weird pictures online in various states of undress, you can just bookmark his Amazon affiliate link, and then when you shop Throw It on Amazon, he gets a few pennies here and there.